Okay, what's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Side report back for a video. Apologies for the delay on this one. I had originally scheduled this for Wednesday, but due to sickness, I wasn't able to make it. I'm fine. It's not COVID or anything. I was just feeling under the weather for that day. So yeah, this is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a fun one, I think, because I've done a video about Blair White before. Didn't think that I was going to be doing another one, but here we are. You know. Um. So yeah, I saw this by chance. Now I usually do blind reactions, so the entire video is 51 minutes long. I've seen 20-ish minutes of it, give or take. Um, and then I clicked away, so I haven't seen most of it. So a good more than 50% I haven't seen. Um, So yeah, so it's going to be a fun one. In other news, I had kind of said that I was going to be getting this, just in case I hit my mic here now. Sorry, I had said that I was going to be getting these, and they arrived. Stop looking at my dick. They are the greatest purchase I have ever made in my life. I love them. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, let's get cracking, shall we? So I suppose I should probably. I don't know. Well, it is actually added to the thing, but there we go. Right. So the video that I'm about to react to, Blair White went on to a pro, as you can kind of see in the title there. Anyway, um, yeah, it's going to be so. Basically, they were kind of talking about like the future of the Republican Party, like where they all kind of saw it going. You know, all of these sorts of things. And it devolved. So the first 30 seconds of this video, um I have played as like a preview for the last couple of videos. First thing, Silent Port, who are they? This is Blair White. This is her name is escaping me. Actually, all of their names are escaping me. That's actually pretty embarrassing. But he does go on to not on screen right now. There is a host to this panel, and he does introduce all of them. I can't think of their names at the moment, and I know that I'm going to kick myself as soon as he says them all, because I should know at least her name and his name. I do not know this cross between Tommy Laherne and Ann Coulter. I don't know who she is. She was the most aggressive all uh, of all of them. Yeah, so Grey Art Labs says that he's seen Cyrus's video about this. Like, a lot of people have covered this, and it's why I was so annoyed that I was sick on Wednesday, because I've seen so many people covering this video, and it's really, really annoying because I thought that I was going to be, not the first, but, at least maybe like one of the first people to cover this. So, yeah, I'm obviously a little bit annoyed that didn't quite get that content out to you guys as early as I thought that I was going to. But nevertheless, I digress. We're here now, and so yeah, let's just burst on. So I'm going to let this play for the preview that I had shown off before, just to kind of refresh everybody's memory on exactly what type of a video this is. So let's just go.
Dr. Carl here was the first one to celebrate me being
Harlan. Well, I celebrated that you were banned on Twitter because you repeatedly tweeted that my husband should be deported, Lauren. And
he's an illegal alien.
I don't really know how much you know about me, but I'm probably the most vocal anti-children transitioning person on the internet. It's what I'm. Right. I let you speak.
The best thing you can do for us is grow out your mustache and tell people not to live like you.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of arguments on Twitter recently where people cannot decide what it means to be right-wing or what the future of the party is. If you don't know why that's important, well, just look around you at the radical leftism, all the insanity in the culture, and a president who borrowed an election and a country who wonders.
I just want to kind of point out, first of all, this is not the audio coming from my end. This audio is actually coming from his end. I don't really know why, because that is a Shure SM7B, which is a fantastic microphone, and he obviously has the fucking padding all over the wall. So I don't know why his audio is this dog shit, but it's on his end. It's not on my end. I've seen Vosh fucking covering it. I've seen Cyrus. I've seen him doing it. So yeah, there's a lot of people that I've seen covering this, and the audio issues are plaguing everybody's video. So it is definitely theirs. It's not on my end. Just want to point that out.
What is our future, and who is going to save us from this absolute madness? Well, a lot of people seem to disagree, which is why I brought a panel of guests on to talk about what the future of the right wing looks like and how we win back our country. If we can bring them on the screen, I went ahead and I invited on a myriad of people. I have Karlin, he's called Karlin Borisenko.
Yes, that's her name, of course. This is Karlin here. Karlin,
well
Karlin,
awesome. Commentator.
Whatever the fuck.
We also have Lauren Witzke. She ran for Congress in Delaware. We also have Blair White, YouTuber as well, and John Doyle, YouTuber.
John
and they're all here
Doyle.
to answer these questions. So let's
Yes,
talk a little about this as we get into this. Starting with Lauren, how do you describe yourself politically?
Okay, so I am socially conservative. I've always been economically populist. Economic populism is the future of our party. However, preserving social conservatism within the Republican Party is a real passion of mine. I'm very pro-family. I'm very pro-life. My whole motto is I just like to win and save babies. So that's what I do.
Awesome. Blair, go ahead and tell us where you...
Well, she clearly doesn't like to win too much, considering that she lost that race for Delaware, but okay. Sure.
You lean politically.
Yeah, every political quiz I've ever taken matches center right. So that's me. I don't have sort of the popular story everyone loves of I'm a former liberal, I'm a lifelong Republican, always voted that way. And yeah, that's me. I'm definitely a little...
What a motto, Tusk, right? I like to win and save babies. It's such a... Oh, there's a statement.
A bit less socially conservative. And that's where I land.
John, go ahead.
It's a pretty clear copy paste between Lauren and myself, I think. Fiscally populist and socially conservative.
Karlin, are you different than them?
Yeah, I'm a little bit different in that, some people say I'm a former liberal. I'm actually a current liberal. I have never stopped being a liberal, even though I did leave the Democratic Party. I politically, on my political compass test, I tend to be right in the center, and I frankly just want common sense people to come up with common sense solutions.
Awesome. So as we get into this, I want to let you know something important. This is the first question we're going to jump into, which is, what is the future of the right wing, right? If we're going to win a war, if we're going to fight the left, we've got to figure out who's on our side. And there's a split of trying to figure out if the future of the right is a conservative, moral Christian party that is a strong nationalist background, or if it's this big tent party full of liberals, libertarians, disaffected left, etc. Before we jump into that, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor for today, guys.
No.
Have Defense Round.
No.
Just amazing. This is company.
Sorry. You can chill on your own fucking channel. You're not chilling on mine.
Party of libertarians, the disaffected left, conservatives, etc. Like with the questions, we'll try to go in the same order. We'll start with Lauren.
Yeah, so I'm really confused why this is a discussion about the future of the right when we have a liberal, actually this is a Democrat, with one good opinion. We also have a transgender on here. I don't really think we should be giving a platform.
Transgender. A single transgender. A letter of the alphabet amount of transgender. What does that statement even mean? Oh god, this is going to be painful. I don't know why I'm subjecting you guys. I don't know why you guys are subjecting yourselves to this. But you know what? I think if we sit around the campfire, we sing "Kumbaya," we'll get through it together. All
Form
right, let's go.
to this kind of degeneracy, which is a gateway drug to pedophilia. I absolutely disagree. We were the party.
People used to like on the right that they always used to say that about gay people. Oh, that like if we give gay people the rights, if we give gay people like civil rights or the same rights as everybody else has, etc., 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 that it's going to be a gateway to pedophilia. Which of course it's not. It's just a scare tactic. Like that's literally what it is. Nobody like that's not demonstrated anywhere. Like anywhere. So okay.
Of traditional marriage. We were the party that opposed gay marriage. We've always been that party. We've always been the party of family. We won handedly in 2016 without the LGBTQ vote. We started losing when we started compromising. So I'm really curious why people who are libertarians, I mean, you have a party of freaks who love the free market that you can join. But don't come into our party and try to influence it, because that is how we are losing. And in case you haven't noticed, we are losing. They are now advocating for chemical castrations for children. We're spotlighting transgenderism at CPAC. And I
Are people? Because I don't think they are. I don't think people are doing that. Don't think that that's a thing. But, guess we can agree to disagree, but I really don't think that's a thing.
I am a traditional Christian conservative. I believe in family. I believe that family is the foundation of everything this country was founded on. And no, I do not believe that we should be compromising our values and spotlighting a lifestyle that is a gateway drug to pedophilia every single time. And you cannot deny it isn't.
Not one time.
Because it's here.
And yes, I can't deny it.
Blair, would you respond?
I think that there's a difference between, you spoke sort of to gender ideology, which is definitely rampant on college campuses, definitely taking over culture. I think that's different than just people who, as individuals, may technically be gay, lesbian, bisexual, any of the above. And I think that it's possible to fight against gender ideology while holding true that there are going to be people that are just different in life. I definitely am not here to speak to the future of social conservatism, because that's just not my lane. But as far as the party, I think that a big tent is most likely the future. I think that knowing my generation and a lot of people my age, which is mid-20s and Gen Z a little younger, I think that they voted for Trump the first and second time, or just the second time, because Trump kind of ushered the party into an era of a little more secularism. I don't think he was overtly religious. I think to an extent he was a little performative with religion and with prayer and things like that. And I think that attracted a lot of new voters. And I'm not sure that, going full force religious social conservatism is really the future.
John, can you respond?
So, and look, I know that very much in contrary to the people who are on the panel there. I know that all of you big-brained, very lumpy, very high IQ audience that I have knows this point that I'm going to make. But can you point out, anybody in the live chat point out to me where she defended herself in that statement? Because I can't see it. Now, again, I know that you're all very high Q, very lumpy brained, very big brained. I know that you're all. I fully believe in you. I don't see it. Maybe you can. Maybe you can point it out to me.
Yeah, I think that the concept of a big tent movement is basically this sort of intra-party democracy that prevents us ultimately from being effective at actually wielding power. And this could date back even to what's referred to as the Reagan Coalition, where we tried to unite social conservatives, with libertarians, with fiscal conservatives. And then we created something which ultimately didn't last in effect, where we're now on the back foot with things such as gender identity. And even now we're trying it, with pandering to different minority groups, different interest groups, which will never give us more than 8% of the vote, for example. So I think that to actually try something different would be to legitimately establish a strong party with the values that we're nominally in support of, and actually wielding the power effectively when we are given the chance, instead of getting into power and then doing nothing and trying to pander to these groups thinking that we're going to own the libs and take their voting base away from them.
Yeah, Carlin, I'm interested to hear your perspective, because obviously this would be a question that would pertain to you directly, since you admit that you're a liberal and you just registered as a Republican. I mean, give us your thoughts.
Good. I did. Well, the fact of the matter is that MAGA is not a religious movement. MAGA is a political movement. And in order to win elections, you have to win votes. The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump has never cared about gay marriage. It was never something that he was against. Dude hung out at Studio 54. Why would he care? And so I'm on the side of winning too, Lauren. I'm on the side of winning elections. The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump created a Big Tent strategy that brought 10 million more people to him in 2020 than he did in 2016. And if we go back and look at the history of the Republican Party, and when they lost the culture war the first time, Ronald Reagan offered a big tent. He said, everyone is welcome in this big tent. He won 2 terms. George H.W. Bush followed him. The Republicans were in control for 12 years until what happened? The moral majorities tried to swoop right in and started legislating Christianity. And that is when they lost the culture war. That is when they started losing voters, when they started trying to legislate their religion the first time around. The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of a religion or they're prohibiting the free exercise of thereof. So it protects your right to practice your religion as much as it protects my right to practice mine. This is not a question of religion. If you want to do whatever you want to do in church, that's fine. Go talk to your church elders, go talk to your deacons, exclude anyone you want from your church. But the fact of the matter is that I would really like if the Democrats didn't control everything. And in order for that to happen, we need to win. And that means building the broadest possible coalition of voters that we can. And that's what I think we should do.
Lauren, that's pretty much opposite.
That was actually, like, I get that she's kind of coming from it from like a different stance or a different point than I would be, because like she's kind of advocating for like Trumpism or for the conservatives winning. I would not be doing that. But that actually wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. Pretty much everything that she said there was right. Now, I get that she's trying to kind of, very kind of deep in that response was, we should have a big tent approach to politics, and we should kind of invite as many people in as possible, so that you can win an election. Now, I get that that's a winning strategy, but I would never advocate that Republicans do that. Kind of strangely, in this, I would advocate the type of approach that, fucking dollar store and culture over there, and I don't know, the fucking child down there in the bottom right corner. That, like, I would be kind of very much in favor of the Republicans taking their approach to the party going forward. Which is to exclude as many people as you possibly can and only have a very kind of insular group, because, if you exclude people, then they're probably going to either not vote or vote against you. But either way, you're turning votes for your party away. So, you know what? If anybody is unironically advocating for that, more power to you.
Of what you brought up and what you were saying, could you please respond to that?
Yeah, so, Donald Trump, he did do things that made the church have to make excuses for him. His Globo Homo initiative ended up losing him a significant amount of the Christian vote. And we are the base of this party. We make up a huge portion of this party, a way bigger portion than the libertarian sector of the party, no matter how much they want to tell you. So him making those compromises is probably a big part of why we lost the House in 2018. In 2017, we had the House, the executive branch, and the Senate, and we still failed on conservative issues. They refused to stand up for life. They still passed a budget that actually made us forced Christian taxpayers to fund Planned Parenthood. So every vote lost on social conservatism is, we are significantly more. We are the party that was established in traditional marriage. So I'm curious, when the liberals and the transgenders decided that it was their duty.
Oh, the transgenders. We got plural there. We're on the up and up. We're on the
To
up
come
and
and
up.
infiltrate our party to make it successful, because we were doing just fine. We started actually losing votes when we started pandering. We lost a significant amount of our base, enough to make an effect and make a dent into the election.
Yeah, okay. So the Republican base, the kind of Trump base, the diehard Republican base, is going to vote for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich against a Democrat. It doesn't matter who the Democrat is, they're going to vote for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich because it's running on the Republican ticket. They're going to vote Republican. It doesn't matter who is up there. So this weird idea of like, oh, like as soon as we started including people, as soon as we started like, outstretching our arms and inviting people in, that's when we started losing. Gonna be calling bullshit on that. Gotta be calling bullshit on that. I mean, look, I mean, like, even if that like base is, a big part of the voter base, which it undoubtedly is. But if you're wanting to exclude people who are, maybe like more socially liberal on some issues than you are, or if you're wanting to exclude people based on this or based on that or based on the other thing, it's going to cause massive amounts of people that are either not going to vote for you or who are going to vote for the other guy. So what I'm saying is that like, even so if you exclude people who are more socially left than you, if you exclude people who are LGBTQ, if you exclude people who don't agree with you on when abortions should be banned, right? Like on all of these issues, if you don't agree, like if you start to exclude people who don't agree with you 100%, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose, and this is what I'm talking about. I want like this cunt and baby boy down the bottom corner. I want them or their tactic to be the tactic that the Republicans go forward with. Exclude, 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 lose, lose, lose.
For it by compromising our values. The only way forward is to stay true to our values that we've always been and established on and win with them. It's the weakness. People value strength over anything else. And when we started showing weakness and compromise, that's when we started losing. And I don't think that is something that we should continue. I think that we should remain the party of Jesus Christ, the party of life, the party that celebrates family and makes it as easy as possible for Americans to get married and have children. Why would I celebrate?
Only if you're white, only if you're straight, only if you have 2.4 kids.
A lifestyle that people can't reproduce. You can't reproduce. You just can't. So having families, that is the future of the party. We started losing when we started compromising. Big Tent is a lie.
What if one or other people in the relationship that she would approve of is sterile or barren? They can't reproduce. So what do you do then? Are they excluded? Are they excluded? So if somebody agrees with you on absolutely everything, on absolutely everything, except for the fact that they can't have kids because they can't reproduce because one or either is sterile or barren, does that mean that they're excluded as well? Seems like a pretty shit tactic that you're going with here.
I approve. There real fast and give Blair a chance to respond to that.
Sure.
I think the concept of more people infiltrating a party isn't necessarily what has happened. I think that the modern left has shown its hand to such an extent that people are just being extremely turned off by it. Again, being a lifelong Republican voter, I've never had a moment where I entered the party and then had plans to change it from within. I think that every American has a right to vote in any direction that they choose. And I think especially over the next 4 years of the Biden presidency, there's probably going to be a lot more people who are red pilled, I guess is going to be the term, and wanting to vote, in the opposite direction of how things ended up in November. And I also would say, Trump got the most votes of any sitting president in history. I think that's true, right? That's right. And I think there's a reason for that. I think what I spoke to earlier was
Wait, what'd you say?
of any sitting president in history. I think, and I also would say, Trump got the most votes of any sitting president in history. I think that's true, right? That's right.
I don't know why girl who's copying my hairstyle is nodding her head at that, because, well, he clearly didn't. Because Hillary beat him by 3 million votes, and Biden beat him by 6. So clearly not. Clearly he didn't get the most votes of any sitting president in US history. That clearly didn't happen.
And I think there's a reason for that. I think what I spoke to earlier was the push towards more secularism. And I think that while social conservatives and religious conservatives still voted Trump because it was the right direction, and like you said, they did make a lot of excuses and compromises on their beliefs, I think Trump really, and Trumpism, is the future of the party and the future of success. I'm also one of those people that, I don't know, this might have to be edited out for YouTube, but I'm not completely convinced that the election was won by Biden by completely legitimate means. So
we can say it was borrowed.
I think, what?
We can say it was borrowed. You can't say stolen, but you can say the election was borrowed.
And so even though, Biden won, I still think Trump is the future of the right in general. So.
Okay, John, why don't you jump in there?
I think that's correct in that Trump is the future of the Republican Party. But what's interesting about that is that during his first campaign and even his second campaign, he really didn't touch on LGBT issues that much. I mean, he held up the flag, I think, at a few events at the advice probably of people like Jared Kushner. But if you look at where his voters actually sit on the political spectrum, they're not the right-wing libertarians that a lot of big donors would like the party to be. They're actually basically authoritarian in the center. And so if you look at where they poll on issues such as like gay marriage versus traditional marriage, or like transgender bathroom issues, like whatever, they're all like very, I guess you'd say, authoritative and conservative in that they're in support of traditional and socially conservative policies. And so that's where the momentum in the party is. And so if you're going to come over and vote for Republicans because you agree with their positions on foreign policy or fiscal policy or what have you, that's all in fine. But what we can't do is start to compromise and say that like you can come over here and we're actually going to pander to you as well and give you positions at CPAC. And I think it's interesting because a lot of people that are trying to join the Republican Party or the conservative movement and then bring to light more of these like LGBT issues are basically showing their hand in that they're not actually conservative. And I'm not speaking about you guys specifically, just like the rhetoric that I deal with online, because fundamentally the idea of like LGBT issues is about the enshrinement of total equality, which is fundamentally not a conservative idea. Conservatives believe in hierarchy and natural law, and the idea that we can have total equality across the board for different types of relationships or different types of marriages, quote unquote, is just fundamentally not a conservative idea. And so if we want to have success in the future as a party, we have to actually like maintain a strong footing on what it actually means to be conservative, which we haven't done in the last 70 years, I'd say.
Yeah, so I want to kind of tweak this a little bit.
Like, it's just really, really weird, the fact that he said marriage is quote unquote. It's, oh God, like you just know that these are the same types of people who talk about the war on Christmas like it's fucking Normandy. Like it's just a headache. But yeah, let's just burst on. I don't want this to be like, so the last stream that I did, I turned a 21-minute video into 3 hours. So kind of want to stay away from that. So I am kind of like letting it play. So like I'm 16 minutes in, and how long have I been streaming for? I've been streaming for half an hour, which is like basically like a 50-50 time. So that's actually pretty good for me. It's pretty good. But we're going to be breaking down because, okay, so like I've seen a lot of this, again, like 16 minutes. So I've seen the next 4 minutes ish. Everything after that is going to be new information. So, am I going to be stopping, starting, playing, and pausing a little bit more? Quite possibly. I guess we'll find out.
To you, Carlin, as that question that he said, right, is like, this is the question a lot of people ask on the traditional right, is that the right has been defined as being a conservative party, and that has been traditionally what it has been. Now, you say that you identify as a liberal, but you are a Republican. I would say that's more of a new development in the party. I'd say that it is, related to Trumpism, to MAGA, or as Lauren calls it, the Globo Homo movement, which I almost spit out my coffee when she said that. I find all this stuff quite
Yeah, just wait, what?
hilarious sometimes.
Yeah, just just casual homophobia. Just
But with that being said, if we're going to take the big tent party approach, right, and we're going to bring in all of these people that are of different viewpoints like yourself, what is this conservative party conserving, and how is it any different than, let's just say, being a liberal party from 10 years ago?
Well, right now it's not conserving anything because they don't have any power because they lost elections. But I do want to speak to John's point specifically in that he used the magic word, which is pandering. The left panders to the LGBT movement. Trump did advocate for LGBT policies. He did so by appointing the first openly gay member of the cabinet, which the left likes to forget about all the time. He did support this community. He just didn't do it in a way that was pandering. But
yeah, he did so very badly, considering that the last thing that he did before leaving office was take away the rights and freedoms of LGBTQ members to adopt children. So you know what? You can take your first openly gay person of whoever, I don't even know who she said there. You can take that and you can unironically and very consensually shove it up your ass, because I don't care. I don't care what he did. I don't care that he went out on stage and, he hugged the rainbow flag, or he had the rainbow flag in the background of one speech that he was doing. I don't care about any of that. That absolutely is pandering, but I don't care how much he pandered. I don't care how much, I don't care that he brought in this person or that person or this other person over here. I don't care about who he brought in. I don't care about what he said. I care about what he did. And he fucked LGBTQ people constantly. So take that sentiment, roll it up into a nice dildo shaped fucking rock hard Stonehenge fucking thing and shove it directly up your ass in a consensual way.
Again, I'm a liberal because I believe in individual liberty, individual freedom. I'm very concerned with preserving specifically our First Amendment values and all the amendments specifically, but the First Amendment's really my jam, which again does not allow for the state to legislate based on one religion's specific values. But if we want to talk about religion, we can talk about a verse from the Bible, which is 1 Timothy 2, verses 1 through 2, which says, I urge then, first of all, the petitions, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and for those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. And I bring that up because that is the only place in the New Testament that really touches on the relationship of Christians to government. And what does it say? It says they should pray for the people in leadership so that they may live peaceful and quiet lives in godliness and holiness. So what does that mean? It means that we should be working on electing a government that allows people to practice whatever religion they want and to live peaceful and quiet lives in godliness and holiness. And the only way that we can do that is by creating a broad coalition of voters who win elections. That's what we should be talking about first and foremost, is how we win elections.
I've just noticed this. I just want to put this back just a little bit. How many what are they in the background? What are they? Are they scarves? Are they a shawl? They can't be jackets. They're too thin. Look, you can see the fucking spike right here, or the little hook, the handle thing that's coming up. Why does she have? And this one's clearly knitted. Why does she have so many scarves in her background? There's so many of them. Sorry.
Before we go, I'm going to go to John, because John was sort of laughing during that. And so, why are you laughing?
I was humored by the biblical substantiation for having more gay people in government. I just thought that was kind of funny. But no, I don't think that, like, even you push back on what I had said about the pandering with, well, Trump appointed these people and he appointed these people, so he was actually, like, serving the interests of the community. It's interesting because, as you noted, the left will still ignore that because they control the narratives and they control the media, and so really, no matter what Trump does to pander to that, however many percent of the, what is it, 3% of the voting demographic, isn't actually going to serve interests. And
Fox News, Newsmax, OANN, and the fact that he has the right at any opportunity, at any time of the day, to call a press conference, and in 30 minutes the world news media will be there. Shut the fuck up about your fucking blatant fucking victimhood of your, like, oh my god, they censored me. I don't care if they censored you. You have the world's media literally at a moment's notice. Shut the fuck up.
I just don't think that the reason Trump didn't win in 2020, assuming the election was totally legitimate, was because he didn't serve the interests of the LGBT community enough. I mean, Trump won in 2016 because of immigration, because of free trade, and because of foreign policy. It wasn't at all because of social issues as it pertains to, like, the interests of gays and transgenders or what have you. And then as far as the biblical substantiation for it, I mean, it's outlined obviously, and not only in the Old Testament, but in the New Testament, like, very clearly, that sexual immorality, which under the umbrella would be homosexuality, is wrong. But you seem to be alluding to this idea of, like, the individual and in their private home and things like that when you talk about, people living in a free society to do what they want and not, causing any problems. But what's interesting about that is that was the argument that during the movements in the 1960s and 70s, including the sexual revolution, that allowed a lot of the stuff to have a seat at the table, which ultimately would usurp power away from traditional Americans and traditional social conservatives. And I just think that that's basically a myth, because there's really no such thing as a private individual in the privacy of their own home, because you are one person. And so any actions that you take in your house are ultimately going to reflect you and how you conduct yourself in the real world. And then it's also kind of misleading because people don't want to be confided in the privacy of their own home or what have you, because that almost presupposes that it's something to be ashamed of. And people don't like that. And so what happens is then they start taking to the streets and they start having parades and they start to infiltrate education.
What the fuck is this guy talking about? Does anybody have any idea? People don't want to confide in the privacy of their own home? What the fuck is this guy talking about? Does anybody else know? Because I'm genuinely lost. I'm almost convinced, actually, that I haven't seen this much. I think when I was watching this the first time, I kind of dipped out about 30 seconds before. So, about a minute before. So all of this is all new information to me. He's trying really hard not to come out on stream. I think so as well, Tusk. I think so as well.
Education. They start to infiltrate institutions such as the American Psychiatry Association. And then, what was it, 2015, June of 2015, the Supreme Court decided that 5 minutes ago, marriage can be between two men. And now we're here on the back foot with issues like, hey, maybe kids shouldn't be taking prenatal hormones. Or
they've infiltrated the American What? Is he talking about the fact that people used to, I'm so sorry, I've got something in my eye and it's very distracting to me. Is he talking about the fact that people used to say that, like, being gay was like a mental illness or something like that, and that then the American that they came out and said that it wasn't? Yeah, the gays have infiltrated the shrinks. Yeah, is that seriously the message that he's pushing? Because he does know that it's not just one organization in the United States, right? That it's like every organization that deals with psychology in academia in every country in the world, or at least in every modern country in the world, that says that being gay is not a mental illness. Like, he is aware of that, right? It's not just one organization. Very strange. Very strange.
Can we jump in with that?
Elijah, I want to jump in there because John just fundamentally misrepresented something I said, because I specifically chose 1 Timothy 2 verse 1 and 2 because it has nothing to do with homosexuality. That's why I specifically chose that passage. It has to do with the relationships Christians have with their government. Now, if we want to talk about how the Bible deals with homosexuality, what I would like to focus on is the fact that there are multiple different arguments for different interpretations of the Bible. I'm not a Christian, I'm not a Bible scholar, but I do know that there are multiple different interpretations for that. And instead of getting into the nitty-gritty about what it says in that area, I want to focus on the fact that, again, this is an argument for the First Amendment, for religion to not be the dictator of a political movement. If you want to talk about these issues in your church, do talk about them in your church. If you want to exclude people from your church, fine. If you want to exclude gays from getting married in your church, that is a conversation between you and your church elders. This is a conversation about a political movement.
I think that all the arguments against the acceptance of homosexuality within the right are completely secular. It may just so happen to appeal to the base of that movement as Christians, but I think that Lauren and I could recite several arguments that are maybe even more compelling from a completely secular perspective.
Let me.
And I hope you'll do it in church.
Let me jump in.
And I think it's really funny that she's quoting scripture as a liberal, thinking that she can use it against us as Christians. It's like, oh, it doesn't apply to me, but maybe it'll work on you. And guess what? It doesn't work. Playing on our Christian compassion and making us be tolerant and acceptive of all this diversity. You know what that's left us with? Transgender pedophiles on Twitter saying that your daughter asked for it. Your little girl isn't actually a princess. She asked for it when I abuse her. That is where we're at. So you're throwing scripture at me as a liberal is not going.
Where the fuck is that happening? Where is that happening? That's okay.
Going to work. You cannot play the Christian compassion card on us anymore. We are taking a stand for social conservatism because it matters. Social issues matter. And using God's word and manipulating it to try to get Christians to agree with you is absolutely subversive. And that's what we're struggling with in our party is subverters. How many kids saw Blair White, giving one of her videos? I know Trump is a cash cow. I know people love to talk about him to get their popularity, but how many children saw her and looked at her and said, you know what, she looks really good. I could do that too, and started transitioning. This is about the children. They are coming for our kids, and we are at a point now where we're going to have to take a stand. Will the party go the way of the LGBTQ? Will the party, we already have a transgender man, woman, I don't know, in California running the Federation for Republican.
Jesus fucking Christ. Sorry, I can genuinely only take like so much homophobia in one sitting before I have to be like, okay, no, like this needs to change now. This needs to stop now. So golly. Oh dear God. I don't even know where to begin. I genuinely don't know where to begin. Let's backpedal a little bit because I think I need to rewind. I'm so sorry to subject
They're coming for our kids, and we are at a point now where we're going to have to take a stand. Will the party go the way of the LGBTQ? Will the party, we already have a transgender man, woman, I don't know, in California running the Federation for Republican Women. Are we going to let this stand, or are we going to choose to stay with the nuclear family and support the nuclear family? Because from what I've seen from these LGBTQ activists, such as Richard Grenell, who's an absolute pervert, he refuses.
All right, okay, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. So she's literally in favor of, like taking I absolutely no doubt about this. About taking rights away from people, about, limiting the amount of rights that someone has, about making it so that only her and people who look like her and people who, you know, act like her, um, have rights and have the power and have the freedom and everything else in the world. Um, Tusk says sorry, but I don't know how much more of this bile I can listen to. I totally understand it, man. I genuinely do. But you see, the problem, the problem is that there are people in the world who agree with her, and there are people in the world who will listen to this and who will agree with everything that she's saying, and who will look at Blair White with just as much disdain, um, as she is. Now, I know that I kind of marketed this as I was going to be defending Blair White. There's a lot of things that I have to say about Blair. So I know, like in the last video that I did about her, um, I said that, that like she would never come onto a channel like mine. I'm way too small, and this, that, and the other thing, which is true, which is 100% true. But I genuinely would love to talk to Blair White now about this conversation. I would love to. She's probably not going to do it. She has close to fucking million subs. I have less than 200. I have less than 150. So, she's probably not going to. But I would love to talk to her about it. I'd love to. Absolutely, absolutely love to. Because the fact that we are literally almost halfway into this, and this bitch has said some of the most vile, disgusting, transphobic, homophobic, exclusionary things that I've heard in a very long time, and the fact that Blair has so far not stood up for herself, it's just really sad, man. It's just really, really sad. Like, I don't know how much of the people who are in the live chat or who are watching this right now have seen this full interaction. I don't know how many of you have like seen it in full from start to finish. But I hope that she starts defending herself. Because if not, I kind of hope that she kind of wakes up and kind of realizes that, like, there are people who are in the party that she votes for that hate and despise her very existence. And that there are people in the world, there is a political party that would welcome her with open arms. They're going to have disagreements, and Blair is going to disagree with us, and she's probably not going to like us very much. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Oh my god. I don't know what to do. Because Blair, she constantly goes out and she defends the policies that people like Trump and people like her would probably be in favor of. If she had won her race, which she didn't, if she had won that race, she would probably, if she introduced like bills or pieces of legislation, Blair would probably go onto her channel and defend them and say, "Oh yeah, but this and but that." The idea that she would do that, like, I don't know how much like sympathy I can really kind of extend to her, because looking at it in the most, and I mean the most cynical possible way that you can, is like, did she bring this on herself? She's been railing against like countless trans people I'm sorry, I'm just gonna, because I'm sure I know that you guys don't want to. I will be going back and I will be, doing the rest of the video, but just for now, just again, raw sex appeal. I don't know how much sympathy is really kind of fairly given, because she goes out and she constantly, like, she rails against person after person after person after person after person who is trans, but who is not as, like, quote unquote, as attractive as Blair is. Which, by the way, like, someone being attractive or not is purely subjective. Is purely subjective. Like, I'm with someone and I'm sure that she finds me attractive. I'm sure there are people out there who think that I'm the ugliest fucker to ever walk the face of the earth. But that's what I'm saying, is that attractiveness is very subjective. So, like, does she deserve the defense that people will undoubtedly give her? Probably. Did she bring it on herself? Also, yeah. And I think that that's kind of really one of the saddest things about this whole interaction. Really, really is. We don't have, well, I was going to say we don't have too much left. We actually have half it left. Sorry. We'll burst on and we'll just continue.
To stand up for transgenders in the military, against transgenders in the military. He refuses to stand and make a public statement that, hey, men shouldn't be in women's bathrooms. That's because they're bought, sold, and paid for by these LGBT donors who have seen an opportunity. Trump was a cash cow. He was. If you talk about him and if you are, had a different look or whatever, people would throw themselves at you because it's like, oh, look how inclusive we are. But we're sacrificing everything. And when it comes down to it, I choose preserving the life of little children who are 15% of them are growing up identifying as LGBTQ and transgender. And we.
Amazing. No, I love that stat. I think that stat's absolutely amazing. How wonderful is it that we have, brought about a society that is so accepting of people that 15% of young people can now be, confidently open, and that they can go about their lives and live their lives with dignity and not be fearful of what's going to happen. I think that's absolutely amazing. I think that's an amazing stat.
We should not be giving a spotlight.
You could say it's amazing. Sorry.
Or a platform to people who operate in a lifestyle where 40% of them end up attempting suicide, eventually. 1 in 4 children growing.
Yeah, but how much does the suicidality go down after transition? How much does the suicidality go down if, society accepts people, if they have one or more parental figures accepting them, if they have one or more good friends that accepts them? You take this all into consideration and the suicidality for trans people plummets. So it is precisely so, like, I love it, and I genuinely, it's like, oh, it's like a sick, twisted, guilty pleasure of mine. I absolutely love the moment when people like her will come out and be like, oh, but there's so high a suicidality rate and all this, and she'll clutch her pearls and she'll get very concerned. The reason that the suicidality rate is so high is because of bigots like her. So, to address her point, if you would like to do something about the stat that you're bringing up, stop being such a fucking bigot. And then people might stop wanting to end their own lives. Because they're getting constantly misgendered. They're getting told to grow out their mustache. They're getting told that they're a gateway to pedophilia. They're getting told that they're everything else that this cynical, vile, evil woman has said in the last 24 minutes and 36 seconds. That's why the suicidality is quite high. It's because of bigots like her. That's why.
Growing up, struggling with LGBTQ gender dysphoria.
Come on, Blair. You've risen your hand.
Depression,
Come on.
drug abuse. I think it's 80% of men have a higher risk of HIV. Why would I support that lifestyle? Why would I even make excuses for that lifestyle or try to use
Blair a chance to respond to your statements real fast, because I know Blair has a hard out. We haven't heard from Blair.
Okay. Come on, Blair. I believe in you, girl. Stand up for yourself, for your identity, for who you are, Stand up for yourself, girl. Please. I believe in you. I believe
Just
in you.
on the
Come
on the
on.
statement of Lauren said, Lauren is talking about, you know, the subversion in the party, the idea that your choice,
Well,
that you're
well,
transitioning,
before I
you know,
just want to
influences young
specifically
people.
address what Lauren said about children maybe watching my YouTube videos and thinking that
Oh
they
shit, there's the
can be
fucking
like
preview
me or
clip. Right,
transition or
this is
whatever.
not going to go
I
well.
don't really know how much you know about me, but I'm probably the most vocal anti-children transitioning person on the internet. It's what I'm.
Right.
It's well, I let you speak.
The best thing you can do for us is
I-
grow out your mustache and tell people not to live like you. That is the best thing that you can do to help us, because you are
Christ
not
love,
helping.
Christ love, wafting off Lauren, Christ love.
Go at it, guys.
I think actually to
Okay.
close on the biblical point,
I
like, the
didn't-
first thing I
didn't
did
get
want to say
finish
is the
my point.
vindication
I
of
would
Hang
love
Lauren's
to
point.
finish.
Right there, you know that the host is on, where's my mouse? Is on this girl's side. You know that the host is on her side. Because he didn't give the floor back to Blair when she needed to defend herself. She needed that time, that opportunity, that clear floor to be able to step out onto that floor and be like, bitch, please, and then rattle off. But I don't know what she's going to say. I don't know what her thinking is here. Obviously, I could never do that. I couldn't even pretend to do that. But I don't know if Blair was going to actually defend herself here. But she was definitely going to say something. And then the host cuts to... I'm trying to think of a roast and I can't. He sort of looks like Will Mackenzie from the Inbetweeners. If any of the English people in the live chat get that reference, then good for you. Not that fucking terrible US adaptation of it. Jesus Christ, what an absolute fucking abomination that was.
Comes very clearly, and the fact that we have a liberal on here who is personally a liberal and ideologically a liberal, though feels as though she can manifest that by voting for Republicans. And so I think that really speaks to how far our party has deviated in the last 50 years, to where now there are people who are personally liberal who feel as though their views can be reflected by voting for Republicans. And to close on the biblical topic, there's this misconception that, like, Jesus just said that we should be like vaguely nice to each other. As far as judgment goes, we are called as Christians not to judge people individually. Like, we cannot look at you and make a moral declaration like you are good or you are bad. That's not our position. However, we are called quite explicitly to judge the actions of people so as to maintain a moral and civilized society. And so we need to keep that social pressure on people, like, you actually can't behave in this way or that way. And that's how we maintain a civilized and virtuous society. And we are called throughout the Bible to do that quite explicitly.
Okay, Blair, can you please respond?
All right,
to all
well, I
of
never
that? 'Cause this is
finished my
crazy.
point, so I would just like to.
Okay. Now that she has the floor back, I'm very sorry, because I know that you guys were probably, wanting to see at least a smaller version of that. So here we go. Raw sex appeal. Where was I going? Yes. Now Blair has the floor back. She really needs to defend herself, man. She really needs to defend herself. Again, I haven't seen this. I don't know what she's going to do right now, but she really needs to defend herself. She needs to, man.
To say, as I said earlier, whether anyone on this panel likes it or wants to acknowledge it, there's a really huge chunk of LGBT people who are very much against ideas like children transitioning, like trans women in biological women's sports, and all of the ideas that are, hot talking points, but they're very real at the same time. So I don't think many kids would look at my YouTube videos and want to do anything like me, because I explicitly have been very known for saying that it's not a glamorous lifestyle, that it's difficult, and that children shouldn't be allowed to transition because it can often be a mistake that really damages their life. So I don't know. I just felt like that was a false premise. And again, I would like to agree with Carlin on that.
It wasn't a false premise. Like I said, if you want to help us, tell people not to live like you.
That people would watch my videos and come to that conclusion when I say not to, and I advocate against it. I think that there are a lot of trans people online that you could argue, maybe someone looks at their videos, children, and wants to do a certain thing, but I'm very much against it. If anything, people who support children transitioning or kids who want to transition hate me. So I also would like to say,
it's normal. That's normal. That's nothing
special. I do agree with Carlin in the sense that, if you guys do want to wield power and enact the socially conservative changes that you want, you do have to win elections, and telling people that they don't have a place to vote in your direction or that they don't have a place in your party isn't the way to win elections. So I guess if the topic is the future of the right, I think the future of the right's already settled. It's Trump, and that's not an ideology that tells people they're not allowed to come over. If anything, it's an ideology that welcomes people to come over. So
Okay,
it's
so
kind of
before we
already
jump
over, actually.
before we jump any further, I want to let you guys know something. It's very important. As you can see, a lot of people in this country disagree right now. We cannot seem to come to common ground on a lot of things, which is why people see the instability in the stock market. We had things like the power grid fail here in Texas.
She just didn't defend herself, man. I'm getting really fucking tired of this, man. She needs to fucking defend herself. Like, how can you sit there and listen to someone basically kind of like vocalize how much they hate you and how much they don't want you to have like rights and freedoms and liberties and the same, you know, expressions that everybody else has, the same willingness to fulfill wants, needs, and desires as everybody else does. Like, how do you listen to somebody saying that about you and not defend yourself? I don't know how somebody could do that. If somebody was saying that about me, fuck no, am I gonna sit there and just listen to that, man? That's absolutely insane. That's ridiculous. I would never, ever, ever do that. She just needs to stand up for herself. She needs to say something. I don't know. It's now more than halfway in, and she's literally not given anything other than a tepid response. I genuinely don't know what to do here.
Which is why I want to tell you about My Patriot Supply, which you can find at preparewithelijah.
Shut the fuck up. Wait, that's your second promotion. Oh my god, you fucking asshole. Your second promotion inside of a fucking video. Where is that bringing me to? No, we still have the fucking link thing down at the bottom.
You're saying it's the future is this Trumpianism, and John wanted to respond.
What an absolute fucking asshole having two fucking segues into your sponsors for in the one fucking video in the at the start and at the middle of your video, asshole.
Respond to that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that as we talked about earlier with where the people who voted for Trump, that coalition, sit on the political spectrum, Trump may or may not have touched on this issue either side very much, but they still fundamentally sit at the center economically and authoritatively socially. And so if you look at where those people poll on issues pertaining to, LGBT issues, they're all basically socially conservative. And so maybe Trump didn't come out and support those or be as against those as he should have been to really like wheel those people in. But basically it's ambivalent as far as that's concerned. And so what we do know is that Trump taking time to address those issues, thinking he's going to win those people over, hasn't actually worked. I mean, even his support in 2016 or 2020 with LGBT people was not like statistically significant, nor was there a statistically significant improvement. And so when
wasn't there like 1 million people who voted for Trump? Wasn't there like 1 million LGBTQ people who voted for Trump? In 2020, sorry, not in 2016, in 2020, wasn't there like 1 million people? And okay, yeah, in a country of like 330, it's not like an unbelievable number, but you take away 1 million votes, you take away 1 million votes from a candidate, and again, either you're not giving, or like either you're just. Either way, you're widening the gap of how much you lost by between you and Biden. So those votes would either go to Biden, or they just wouldn't vote at all. Either way, you're losing. Why would you employ that as a strategy? Like, just as like, let's just take a moment. Let's just take a moment to like really kind of realize and dive into what a monumentally fucking stupid tactic that is. You are saying, if you are this, we don't want you to vote for us. Okay, then we'll vote for the people who are running against you. Like, why would you do that? Even if they don't go and vote for the person who is against them, even if they if you say to somebody, I don't want you to vote for me, if that person then just doesn't vote, like, that's a vote that you could have got. That's a vote that could have been yours. It's now nobody's, But the people who are already going to vote for my opponent are still going to vote for them. I'm now just one more vote away from having won. You know what? Like, why would you do that? It's the worst. Considering that they're talking about like elections and winning back power and winning back like Congress, Senate, the presidency. Considering that that's what they're talking about, it's literally the worst tactic that you could possibly employ. Like, it's the worst thing you could do. Just why this would be a tactic that anybody would kind of seriously advocate for, much less defend. It's just really, really bizarre to me. I really just don't understand it. It's very weird. Right, let's burst on.
Political operation is happening. You have a certain volume of discussion and resources that you can expend on different things. And so if you're going to waste those resources, which it is a waste on people who aren't going to vote for you anyway, because they've basically been brainwashed into hating you because we don't control the narratives and we don't control the institutions, the place that you want to be pouring those resources into would be on the issues that you won the election based on in the first place, which would be immigration, which would be free trade, and which would be foreign policy. It has very little to do with appealing to different interest groups and hoping that they come over, whether that's Black people or gay people or transgender people. These are all things that Jared Kushner lobbied for because he thought that they would be effective in creating the sort of big tent movement, which obviously didn't help him too much throughout the administration, but that also wasn't why he was elected in the first place anyways. Because if you look, even demographically, the people who are most likely to vote for Trump are also most likely to be socially conservative. So it's very clear that if we want to keep Trumpism going, if we want to keep the Trump train going, then the way to do that isn't by appealing to these issues, it's by appealing to the issues that got him into power in the first place. And then when we take the country back, then we can have these other debates once we actually wield power. But right now we're just getting totally crushed, so we don't have time to waste resources on anything that hasn't been proven to be effective.
Carlin?
So if what he's just said is true, which I hope it is, and if you're losing all these votes and all these people and like everything else, well then surely you should try and get as many people to vote for you as is possible and don't exclude anybody. This is literally like somebody going, this is literally like somebody who is complaining about a house that is on fire and then stands next to it with like a rag and a lighter, sets it on fire, and then throws it into the building. You're contributing to the thing that you're complaining about. You're complaining about this thing, but you're making it worse. You're making the problem worse. You're making the thing that you're talking about worse. Why would you... Look, I don't expect any big brain moments, any big brain tactics from people who identify as being right-leaning. I don't expect that. But ho is this guy failing? Jesus.
Blair has her hand up. Blair has talked less.
I was just going to say
Okay. Please defend yourself, Blair. Please defend yourself.
Actually completely agree with John that pandering to minority groups definitely didn't do Trump any favors. I think that the media completely controls the narratives. It doesn't matter. He could save, like, I don't know, a little person of color who's also trans out of a burning building and the media would not care. But that's all the more reason to, I don't think you have to pander. I think you just don't have to try to exclude people. I think that just loses votes. And so, again, it just goes...
Basically everything I've just said. But again, she's still not defending herself. She's kind of going against, in the same way that I did, going against this idea of like excluding people and trying to get everybody possible to vote for you. Oh, fucking hell.
Goes back to, you guys can't wield any of this power you say you want to wield if you're not going to win elections. You're just not. And I don't know. I just think it's just kind of silly to go on about this argument that certain people need to be excluded, because all it's doing is telling people not to vote for you.
I actually agree with Blair.
If it keeps going back to like, we need to win, saying you can't vote for us or you don't have a place in the party I don't see the winning tactic of that. I mean, I don't think that the social conservative movement is going to necessarily grow stronger to the point where you wouldn't need. And also what you said about LGBT votes not having a statistical raise, I believe they did double. Obviously, it's still a small community, but it did double from 2016. So clearly there is a shift happening. I think it was 14% in 2016 and probably like 1% every other election before that. And it was like 28% in 2020. So yeah, minority groups don't necessarily win elections now. Over time, they very well could.
Can I just let me move to.
But you see, like, their votes could be the difference between you winning and losing certain states. So actually, I would kind of push back against what Blair said and said that potentially now they could win you elections. Like, maybe not in the sense of, like, that you win in like an absolute landslide and there's no point in even count or even like double checking the count because it's unbelievable, never been fucking seen before landslide victory. That's not the type of victory that we're talking about. But it, like, if there was an extra like 20 or 30,000 people in some of the Rust Belt states that you could have gotten to vote for you, that could literally mean the difference between you winning and losing. It might not be a very big win, but it could mean the difference even now. I agree with what Blair said that the LGBTQ group is just going to continue growing in size, and that it's just going to continue expanding and to include more people in it. But the idea that it couldn't even potentially, even hypothetically, win an election now, I just find to be kind of very very dangerous tactics, because it's kind of saying like, well, it's okay if for now people don't vote for us, but let's not close the drawbridge on that idea because we're gonna need them eventually. I'm saying all of this is bad. It's good for the party that I'm most aligned with, which is the Democrats. I'm not a Democrat, but it's the closest with the party that I'm most aligned with. It's good for them. It's not good for you.
To Lauren,
900,000 votes. Yeah. 900,000 people nationally.
There you go. There you go. 900,000 people. So almost a million people. Again, not a massive, but could be potentially big.
The LGBTQ community and voted for President Trump. We've done the math. It was absolutely not beneficial for all the money we spent when we could have been going after the working class, the white working class, the Christian working class, I
do agree.
Religiously, we spent way too many.
Evangelical Christians were going to vote for you anyway. There's no point in spending any money on them. They were going to vote for you anyway. So weird.
Resources. So the lie that we have to be a big tent in order to win, and we have to be inclusive. Like I said, there is a party for free market capitalism and transgenderism and liberalism. That's called the Libertarian Party. Why don't you join them? We do not need you. You are doing nothing but hurting us. You are hurting the Christian vote by creating a platform for yourself saying,
okay, is she and John Doyle, are they actually real? Like, are they actually real, or are they just genuinely like trolling right now? Like, and I'm asking 100% honestly. Do they actually, like, are they so stupid that they don't realize that by advocating for these things that they are kamikazing their own chances of winning? Like, are they that stupid that they don't realize this? Very strange. Very, 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 very strange. Very, very strange. No. Don't vote for... We do want to win. I want to win, but don't vote for me. Go and vote for them. I do want to win, and I think that, the whole country is fucked if I don't win. So I must win, and please make me win. Like, I want to win, but don't vote for me. Vote for this guy. Do you see the contrast? Like, it's so weird. It's so weird.
This is Trumpism. This is Trumpism. We should have never glorified this in the first place. While we are losing everything on social issues, we lose every single time. We are influencing, public opinion matters, and we are influencing our own elected officials to not take a stand on issues such as transgenderism, LGBTQ education, drag queen story hour. They are saying nothing. We have created a cowardly elected class within our party, so it is not helping us. There is absolutely no electoral benefit. There's no social benefit. And if, like I said, if you are a gunslinging, freedom loving person, absolutely, we'd love to have you come vote for us. But should you be having a say in influencing the party? Should you have an opinion that, like Jared Kushner was the one who did push the LGBTQ agenda, mass migration. And those were the things that, mass migration was something that Trump addressed in 2016. That's what got the white working class out to vote for him. So there are plenty of votes out there for us to get, but it doesn't come with compromising. We don't get those 15 million unregistered Christian voters to get them registered to vote and out to vote for us by glorifying the LGBT community.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. I don't know why Lauren's so against the First Amendment. I think the First Amendment's pretty great. I also think the Second Amendment's pretty great too, because it protects the first. And these are the things that we should actually be conserving. And we can't do that if we can't win elections. The fact of the matter is, Lauren, that every single problem you have with the LGBT movement right now, from giving hormones to kids, medical transition, whatever, this was all caused by the right losing the culture war 30 years ago when they tried to legislate their religion. That is why we're currently experiencing this today. The only way to come back and conserve whatever it is you want to conserve is by winning elections. And the fact of the matter is, it's not just people like Blair who vote based on LGBT issues. I am straight as an arrow. I'm married to a dude. Between the two of us, I'm the one that's actually married with the family. And so I will say that I absolutely will not vote for a party that treats LGBT people like they are subhuman. I won't do it. Part of the reason that Trump won my vote is because.
Well, okay, I was gonna kind of pause it and react to it, but I mean that's just a self contradictory position. You're not going to vote for people for a party that considers LGBTQ people to be subhuman. When Trump constantly railed against them, he banned trans people from the military. He rolled back legal protections. He rolled back social protections. Um he got rid of the law that said that businesses and landlords could discriminate against people based on your sexual orientation and on your gender identity. Like the idea that he didn't treat them extremely terrible. Like, okay, it's just
because he does not care. He promotes people. He doesn't promote sexualities.
Okay, so first of all, you're using issues again on me that you don't apply for yourself. So Dr. Carl here was the first one to celebrate me being banned from Twitter. She was so excited to see that my voice had been silenced. So freedom of speech for thee, but not for me. Absolutely.
Well, look, and I can see that Tusk has only kind of recently commented, so I can only kind of imagine that he's here, considering that the viewers hasn't gone down. At least Tusk, at least both of us can take solace, can take pride in the knowledge that this bitch is banned from Twitter. At least we have that. At least we have that. Now, I don't look, obviously we need to kind of address the fact that channels are willing to kind of host her and are willing to kind of, bolster her extremely bigoted views. But at least she's not out there affecting the masses and affecting the kind of like mainstream narrative of things.
Absolutely. So, disregard that opinion.
Well, I celebrated that you were banned on Twitter because you repeatedly tweeted that my husband should be deported, Lauren. And
he's
now
an illegal alien.
Thrilled. No, he's not. He has a permanent green card. I am now thrilled that I don't have to hear you call for my husband to be deported on Twitter, who has had a permanent green card for the last 6 years.
He came into our country illegally. He broke our laws. He didn't.
Not if he had a green card, he didn't. If you have a green card, then you're not entering the country illegally. Holy God. This video started out by Mr. Hostman there. Sort of looks like a very discount Seth. I'm sorry, my brain is fucking. Anyway, Not Seth Rogen. That's not who I was thinking of. No, yes, it is Seth Rogen that I was thinking of. Fuck, Jesus, I doubted myself there. Yeah, he looks like a very kind of like disc. He looks like the Wish version of Seth Rogen. Where the fuck was I going with that point? See, this is what I'm saying. This is what tiredness
Now,
after
for
my
real,
brain.
that I don't have to hear you call for my husband to be deported.
Yes. So yeah, like if you have a green card, then you're not there illegally. It's just as simple as that. Like, I'm really, really sorry that you like that. Like, the facts don't care about your feelings, but yeah.
He broke our laws. He did
And
not
then
do it
married
correctly.
an American. How
And
lucky
he
is
has to
he?
go back. He has to go back. I'm sorry,
No, he
Dr.
doesn't,
Carlin.
honey. That's not how laws work. It's not how laws work. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I have a husband and you don't, Lauren. I'm sorry. I'm
I love
sorry.
women.
Aw.
You're welcome.
And you know what? There's going to be people. I know this because I know like, I can genuinely point you to a person who would actually make this point if she saw this video, which she would say, like, you know, crazy overweight leftist makes fun of like pure innocent Barbie doll fucking yeah. I swear to Christ, I know somebody specifically who would do that. I know them. And look, I know that she's calling herself a liberal, and maybe she is like a liberal. I mean, like, liberals are like basically centrists anyway. So, like, I get that she's calling herself a liberal, but you know, I mean, like, she's voted for fucking Trump. Like, that's not okay. The idea that like this bitch is like just stomping on her like that fucking hard. And okay, I'm gonna where's fucking my mouse? I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Look at her extremely mad face. Look at her extremely mad. Why is the mouse not on the thing? Is it there? It's not there in the playback. There we go. Yeah, look at her extremely mad, very forced, very bigly mad face. Bigly. Look at how fucking triggered she is. Look at how triggered she is. It's very, very, very amusing.
Really, anyone want to respond? You guys can keep going. Keep going. Blair's like,
Oh, you want me to keep going? Oh, well, you know, I'm in early recovery. So, you know, I've only been clean 3 years. You know, myself getting in toxic relationships is
Wait, what?
Blair's like,
Oh, you want me to keep going?
You're welcome. Just laughing.
Blair's like,
Oh, you want me to keep going? Oh, well, you know, I'm in early recovery. So, you know, I've only been clean 3 years. You know, myself getting in toxic relationships is what kept you know, me relapsing. So, you know, I'm just doing it with wisdom this time. I'm dating. I'm
Wow, there now. Now. You know that the little bit of you know that the you know the or the you know that's really kind of fucking rotted her. That's what's caused the smoothing on. That's what's caused the smoothing. That's what's caused it to be smooth.
But my intention is to get married and have children eventually, but I certainly will not be marrying an illegal alien to give him his green card. So, you know, I hopefully will find an American man. I will find an American man.
Lauren, you'll be pleased to know we had several interviews with ICE and they blessed our marriage.
Really? Even though he was illegal and didn't come the right way?
Has a permanent green card, honey.
Again, not an illegal. He had a green card. You have to apply for that and be granted that before you enter the country.
Wow, we're gonna have to reinvestigate ICE.
Let's go to Blair.
But you know what? Here's the thing though. Like, we can keep talking about my husband all she wants to talk about it, but the fact of the matter is, my husband ain't gonna win us an election. Votes are going to win us elections. I don't know why we're so focused on these issues that are driving people away from voting for things like conserving the First Amendment, conserving the Second Amendment. That's really what I would like to have the conversation.
You don't even like the First Amendment. You don't even like it. So why are you
Blair wanted to chime in.
defending
Let's
it when
let's
you
cut.
don't
Guys,
like
I'm gonna
it.
cut you guys off. I'm cutting
Make
you guys
that
off.
clear.
Blair, I want to Blair. Let me hear what you're gonna say.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that there's a little bit of a tit for tat here, but I will say, Lauren,
Defend yourself, please, please, Blair. Please defend yourself.
you said that Carlin was celebrating you being deplatformed. I did see that, and I personally disagree with Carlin for doing that. I don't like people being banned off Twitter, deplatformed. But I will say you opened this up with saying that I shouldn't be given a platform and that I shouldn't have a say in the party
Get him,
so
Blair.
I think there's a little bit of it to go around. I think everyone should probably just respect each other a little more.
No, I didn't say you should be deplatformed from your voice. I was saying
it's so upsetting to say that that's the most kind of like, antagonistic thing that she said in this entire process, because the fact that she just said that like everybody should have more respect for each other, that's the most, aggressive, passive aggressive, defensive statement that she's made this entire time. Like, that's just so fucking sad, man. That's so sad. It's so sad.
saying that you should not have a platform within a party who stands for traditional marriage, because that is just opposing itself. It makes no sense. Also, when you cannot deny that your people are the ones that are reading dressed in drag to kids at our taxpayers' expense. And I'm just curious, to what extent am I...
Wait, what? No, it wasn't at the taxpayers' expense, you fucking victim. What the... Jesus fucking Christ. No, it wasn't at the taxpayers' expense. If a drag queen goes and reads to a bunch of kids, like, they do that. It's not paid for. They're not paid to be there. Or if they are, it went through the school. It went through, like, it was a process that was done in the school. That was done internally. There wasn't fucking taxpayers going to it. Shut the fuck up, you impotent fucking moron.
Am I going to be forced to participate in your fetish or delusion while our children are being targeted for pedophilia openly? So, no, I don't want to give a platform to that lifestyle. And
where is that happening? Because it's not happening anywhere. She just keeps saying things. It's like her whole tactic is, well, I wonder if I say this bad thing, will people just accept that it's a bad thing and then just leave me alone? And then, and then just take what I'm saying at face value. God above.
And those are your people.
Here's the thing. There is...
Go ahead, Blair. Sorry.
Okay. There is, and I think this maybe is something that you might not be aware of, or people who are not, closer to the LGBT community, knowing the inner workings, that there's actually a huge divide from people who...
It doesn't matter. It's a package deal. It all comes together.
I disagree. I think that there's a huge divide within the community, as from people who do support things like Drag Queen Story Hour, one of the things I've been very vocal against children transitioning. So I don't think it's a monolith. I don't think any group is a monolith. The same way that the right wing is not a monolith of just people who believe, in a biblical, definition of conservatism, and people who don't. And I think that there's a really big missed opportunity for the right, in the sense that I think LGBT people are actually the best warriors against gender ideology, and seeing children being read to by half naked...
Wait, what? Wait, what?
And seeing children being read to by half naked drag queens, and children going under hormone therapy at...
They're not half naked. They're not. Oh my god! Like, does she not know that either way, if the person who is the drag queen is doing this voluntarily or is being paid for by the school, not by the taxpayers, but by the school, that it's still like overseen by the school. It's not as if the heads of the school, or the principal or the teacher or whoever meets the person before they change at the door right? Bring them into somewhere where they can change into their outfit, and then just say, right, okay, and as soon as you're done in there, that's the room you're going into. You have about 40 minutes, and good luck to you. That's not what happens. The teacher is still there. They might get extra supervision. Oh my God, above. This is so just unbelievably fucking stupid.
12. I think that people that are from that community coming and speaking out against it do a lot better of a job at trying to stop it than people who are on the outside. Because at the end of the day, Lauren, you could make it part of your platform to be against those things. And even Carlin, you guys could talk about it, but it's simply the way it works. It's never going to be heard as loud as someone like myself or a gay person coming out of the community. And so I think that when you have, I would venture to say, the majority of LGBT people who disagree with those things, when they feel like they can't speak out against it, because what happens is the right will say, okay, you can speak out against it, you still get no voice in the party, you're still disgusting, you're still a freak. They don't want to, then they end up staying on the left. And it makes it appear as though all of us agree with those things. But in reality, oftentimes we feel politically homeless, like we don't have a voice over here. And we have to pretend to be leftists or pretend to be along with these things because we don't have a political home.
Well,
so again, I think, so I just want to, just one last thing. So again, I think just in general, the overall point of what I think is that you don't benefit from turning people off from voting for you. You just don't.
Okay, well, listen, here's the deal. Your whole lifestyle really opens the door to everything that you claim to stand against. Now, I'm not really sure if you really stand against the transitioning of children or drag queen story hour, or if it's just public opinion.
I mean, aside from the fact that she's just told you that she does. Oh, just end it as quickly
or
as possible.
Or public opinion is against you because public opinion matters. I don't really know what's really in your heart, but when you walk out a lifestyle that introduces that to children, I mean, it's there. It is your people. It is part of, that's part of the package deal. It is spearheaded by the LGBTQ movement. Just because you take a normal stance on something, everybody should be opposed to grown men going into young girls' locker rooms or bathrooms.
Everybody is. Yeah, everybody is. Everybody is against that. Nobody, not a single person on the face of the earth is in favor of grown men going into girls' locker rooms or bathrooms. Nobody. Not a single person. What we are in favor of is men going into men's changing rooms, bathrooms, etc., and women going into women's changing rooms, bathrooms, etc. Now, I get what she's saying here, but trans men are men and trans women are women. So if you don't want women going into men's bathrooms, then you should be in favor of allowing trans women to go into the women's bathrooms. Because if you don't want the mixing of the sexes in each other's bathrooms, then you should be in favor you should be in favor of the bathroom bills, which will allow trans people to go into the bathroom of their chosen identity.
That doesn't make you special. It makes you normal, and just because you dress up as a woman.
There is no such thing as normal. So there's a few people watching this. There's a few people in the live chat. Tusk, who I'm sure we would, if we sat down and we, exchanged words, we would agree on a vast number of things. We would still have a different definition of what is normal and what is not normal. So my definition of normal is very different to Tusk's, is very different to, I hope this is your username, Colin, is very different than everybody else who is watching this now, who is going to watch this, is very, very different than everybody who is on this panel, including the host. It is going to be extremely different than every single other person on the face of the earth. My definition of normal is different to my mother's definition of normal. There is no definition of normal because everybody's is different. And the fact that you are trying to use the word normal and yet nobody agrees 100% on what normal is, then it's an oxymoron. You cannot have that word is meaningless. Normal to you is normal to somebody else. It's normal to each it is different to each individual person. So if you want to, bolster or like hype up or to celebrate somebody doing what they think normal is, absolutely, then you should be in favor of Blair being who she is, and about every other trans person being who they are, and the entire list on down. There's no such fucking thing as normal.
Does not mean that you have a special opinion on something that everybody should oppose.
Okay, so
I'm not claiming to be special.
See, there we go. There's Tusks. I'm a mixed race gypsy lawyer with a drag king for a partner. My life is miles away from my normal is miles away from yours. And yes, it is. Miles away. Miles and miles and miles away. It was just proving my point.
I'm just a person that shares my opinions online. And what I'm just trying to tell you is that it's a lot more people than you think within the community, the LGBT community, that agree with me and think the exact same way, not the exact same way, but on the more radical ideas like children, everything to do with children.
It's all the same.
I mean, you can sit here and you can insist that it's a monolith and insist that we all think that way and that it is a package deal, but it's really not, especially considering gender ideology and how it has manifested now and taken over culture and been popularized. It started it started well after the existence and acknowledgement of gay people or transgender people. Transgenderism used to be a purely medical issue that was treated on a purely medical basis. Gender ideology that we see on college campuses and that oftentimes it's communists spreading it, that came much, much later. So if I think that
Dude, that's such a needless fucking job. That's such a needless job. That it's communists spreading gender ideology. Like, I mean, the science, the like hardcore knowledge, the hardcore facts and stuff like that, and the stats and the studies, everything else that we know about gender is coming from psychology, and there is not very many communists that are in psychology. There's quite a lot of left leaning people. That tends to happen when you go into any area of academia, but there's probably very few communists in psychology. Like, that's probably, like, aside from the fact that the whole kind of like idea around communism would be like, there would be a lot of issues with that from the psychologist, kind of like from their standpoint on how it's, oh my god.
they are two separate things.
Okay, so let me I have to move the conversation on because I know that Blair again has a hard out. And so I kind of want to give Carlin and John a chance to respond to this. So as we're wrapping this up with the big tent, with the idea of the place with gays,
Sorry. It's not anybody. It's not anything that he said. Tusk said, I know there's a communist party in Scotland. He's a pretty decent guy. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though. Like, it's just, oh, God.
I don't want to get your opinion wrong, Lauren. So if you can give me a brief response to this, do you believe that we should exclude the LGBT influence from the right wing and reestablish sort of like a Christian party? Can you give me your summary in under a minute?
Yeah, so certainly. In conclusion, the LGBTQ community has no platform, should have no influence on the party that was based on traditional marriage. Opposing gay marriage still is our platform. That hasn't changed, but we are going to have to vote on it again soon. You know, are we going to be the party moving forward? Are we going to be the party that compromises on our values that got us this far? Or are we going to stand firm on issues like family, restoring the nuclear family, getting dads back into the home, re-legalizing conversion therapy, which they have stripped parental rights, where children now can't even...
What? No, she's not that far gone. No, come on. Nobody can be this wrong. Like, nobody can be that. No.
And go to get therapy if they choose to change their mind while struggling with gender dysphoria. You know, the only path forward with this LGBTQ agenda is stripping parents of their rights. Parents are being villainized for not wanting to transition their children. They're having their children taken away from them. So
did she just earlier in this same video talk about the problem about suicidality in trans youth? Didn't she earlier in this very video talk about that? I think she did. And the reason the reason that we would be in favor of, of younger people transitioning is to stop the high suicidality that she herself was talking about. I don't know what the fuck to do with this bitch anymore. Like, I genuinely don't. I just don't know what to do.
So it is not a lifestyle that should be included in the Republican Party. And it's not something we need either. Electorally, it hurts us.
Okay. Lauren, and then Carlin, let me give you, so in under a minute, can you wrap up your conclusion on this as well?
Yeah, this is about attracting as many people to the movement as we possibly can. I would like everyone who believes in freedom of speech, who believes in protecting the Second Amendment, who believes in protecting all our individual liberties to come to the movement. And I think it's rather ironic that people like Lauren talk about treasure.
Wait. Okay, so it seems to be actually okay on the stream.
The
Give me a second.
Family when she was campaigning
everything
on Twitter
is frozen on
to
my
have
end.
my husband of almost 10 years deported. So protecting traditional family, but break up mine. I would like to welcome everyone into this movement, including my husband, who will be starting the process of becoming a U.S. citizen a little later on this year. And when he does...
Yeah, so the video is still frozen. This is terrible. This hasn't happened in a very long time. I'm very surprised, ladies and gentlemen. And now the video is frozen as well on a particularly bad fucking freeze frame of me. That's terrible. Shit. Shit. Okay. Okay, so just whilst I reboot everything, so extremely sorry, ladies and gents, for the delay here. Very, very sorry about that. Yeah, very, very sorry. So I should be kind of back up and running now very, very soon. I don't know what that's going to mean for the video, although we were pretty much towards the end of it anyway. So I might just kind of give my final thoughts on it and kind of what exactly what I kind of thought on the video. So almost back up and running, ladies and gents. Very, very, very sad. This genuinely has not happened in an extremely long time. I'm very surprised. Very, very, very surprised. All right, okay, we're back. I'm again. Oh, shit! Shut up! There we go. Yeah, again, extremely, extremely sorry about that, guys. Did not anticipate that happening. Okay, so as I said, we were almost done. We were almost over with the video anyway. They were kind of going into their like closing statements or whatever. So yeah, I'll just kind of go over like exactly what I kind of thought. Look at film. Well, okay, so my hot takes. My hot takes based on this. All right. I'm just gonna. I had started to do this for the new thing, and I'm gonna start doing this for like debates and stuff like that, and for more of my streams. But just kind of for now, I'm just gonna bring it down here because it's more, yeah, it's whatever. Okay, so what do I think about this video? Well, I think it's incredibly sad. I think it's incredibly sad that Blair did not like defend herself like at all for the entire thing. She just didn't. She just did not. She did not defend herself just like at all. I find that to be extremely sad. A very, 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 very sad. Just sad. Just sad. I think it's terrible. I think it's just terrible that she did, and the treatment that she got from fucking Wish.com and Coulter was just okay. I don't want to like out myself as like a lib cock or anything, but if I was on a panel with somebody like her, and I do think that so if I can be as charitable as I possibly can towards Blair, right? As charitable as I possibly can. A potential thing that she could have been doing is sorry, I just want to ask this, just Tusk, because I know that you're still here and you're very kind of active in the live chat. Like, how much of a difference is it between my mic being here and when it was like up? Where is it on the camera? Like here, when it was up here-ish, and when it like I'm like, where it isn't it? Like, how much of a difference? I know that it's much closer to me when it is here, so I'll try and do like a roughly kind of like vague comparison of where it was. But yeah, just kind of tell me, like, is it much different? Is it much better? Whatever. None. There's no difference at all. Oh, that's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. Okay, so if I could be as charitable as I possibly can towards Blair, I would kind of say that she was trying to take the high road, that she was trying to, be the classy one in the conversation and be the person that didn't, engage in the drama or in the name calling or in the anything else like that. And to a degree, a very small degree, but to a degree, I respect that she did that. And I respect that that was her, approach, because, the best possible way of being seen as being the bigger person or as being the more reasonable person in any given situation is to not rise to the trolls, is to not rise to the hate, is to not, meet hate with hate. I get that that's an approach, and I get that that was quite possibly her approach for this entire thing. However, I would have absolutely loved it, and I mean, I genuinely would have loved it if Blair had gone, even 90% of the entire thing, and then at the very, very end turned around and been like, right, bitch, it's fucking go time. I'm going to tell you all about yourself. All about yourself. Had she had done that, it would have made it so much better, because at least she was standing up for herself. At least she was fighting for herself. At least she was trying to kind of, make her and her side look an awful lot better, but she just didn't do that for the entire thing. She just didn't do it, and it's just so sad. It's so sad that she didn't. Because I mean, sure, like who gives a fuck what that bitch thinks about Blair? Like, who cares? Because she's never going to like her anyway. She's never going to respect her. She's never going to treat her with any amount of decency, because she already thinks that, she's disgusting and that she's leading to like a gateway to pedophilia and to all of these horrific things. So why be nice? Why be even neutral towards someone like that? Like, why? They're never going to like you. You can ask them to bend over. You can personally spread the cheeks and lick the anus of that person all that you want, they're never going to like you. So fuck it. What, like, why would you pander to them? Why would you be nice to them? Why would you treat them with any amount of decency or respect at all? Why would you do that? It doesn't make any fucking sense to me, like, at all. So, look, I think that, I don't know, the woman who had the same hairstyle as me, I think that she was the most reasonable person on it. But then again, I mean, you know, I know a little bit about her and her personal background as well. She seems like a massive, like, not grifty, but very sort of like emotional. As in, when Vosh went on Tim Pool, she basically had like a meltdown on Twitter towards Tim Pool, being like, "Why would you platform someone like Vosh?" And I never thought that I'd say this either. Jesus Christ, this is a video of firsts. To Tim Pool's credit, he was like, "Okay, I'll have him back on again then," which was kind of not gonna lie to you, it's a little bit of a badass moment. But anyway, I just, you know, oh god, the fact that she was the most reasonable person on the panel is just fucking saying something. Yeah, man. As I said, you know, I would actually like to have a conversation with Blair about that interaction. I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to, because just to kind of get a sense of what was going on in her head, what her tactic was, just everything about it. I'd love to have a sit down conversation. I know that it's not going to happen, but I would love. You know, I can dream. I don't know, man. It's a strange one. Colin just said that he's been speechless from the last time that he said anything. Yeah, man, I don't blame you. You know, I can't blame you. I don't. I've been kind of speechless as well, but you know, it would be a pretty shitty stream, and I don't think that people would kind of stick around very often if it was just me just speechless for like 10 minutes afterwards. So I'm it's difficult, man, like when you're trying to kind of talk about these things in like even in like a semi-professional manner, you know, when you're trying to kind of like dissect what somebody is saying when there's saying all these like horrific things about a human being. It's just, did did Blair, you know, bring this on herself? Quite possibly, but do I think that she deserves that? Still no. Still no. I just really, really don't. I really don't, man. There's, look, on the bright side, the fragmentation of the right would be the death of GOP. Where the fuck is my mouse? There we go. Yeah, absolutely. And just because you put, yeah, there we go. But yeah, it will be the death of GOP. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, so like that obviously is the bright side, but you know, like Blair maybe had like some, and I mean some of it coming, but some of the comments, some of the treatment, man, nah, nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves that. You know, you can say, well, you know, like lesser forms of it where, you know, she had that coming and they were justified, lesser forms of it. But the treatment that she got, man, nah, no, I'm sorry. Nobody deserves to be spoken to like that. Nobody. I don't care. I don't like Blair. I'm not a fan of Blair. I don't like the fact that that like she is a transphobic trans woman. I don't like Blair, but she still didn't deserve that. Still didn't. They are all grifters, you know, definitely. They are all grifters. Like Blair White, like, noticed that she can be the token trans person if she goes out there and says mean or bad things about trans people. You know, she can get paid for it, and that the right will kind of hold her up, or that, well, at least some people in the right will hold her up and be like, hey, look, you don't like the trans people. Well, here's a good trans woman because she's against other things that I don't like. It just, she's absolutely a grifter. She's gone to where the money is. She's gone to where, that like people are going to prop her up and say like, no, that you are what you say you are, which is, no, I'm the good trans person, not the bad trans person. So it's okay. You can make fun of me. You can belittle me. You can do all this. I don't know, man. That was hard, man. That was hard. That was difficult. That was difficult to watch. Difficult to watch. But look, at almost 2 hours, I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you to absolutely everybody. Before I start doing thank yous and before everybody leaves, Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Which, Tusk, I know you're Scottish. It's extremely upsetting. I know. I realize. Although, actually, maybe myself and Crafty Keela are teaming up for a debate on abortion, on modern day debate. So that is going to be happening ridiculously late our time. So mine, Keela's, Tusk's time. It's going to be happening at 1:30 in the morning. It's only going to be starting at that time, which is, I get it, we're not going to have an awful lot of Irish or English viewers because it's ridiculously fucking late at night. But I hope that people can still kind of, somewhat turn up or anything else like that. So it's going to be interesting one either way. I know that Tusk has a very good friendship with Keela, so maybe, out of like solidarity, and obviously, he's been here for the entire thing since literally I started streaming, so there's a possibility. Not that I expect you, Tusk, to, wait up until 1:30 in the morning and then wait for another however long the actual debate lasts. I'm not going to hold it against you. If you don't make it, don't worry. So yeah, so that's happening Monday. 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That is going to be the 22nd of March. On the 24th, the following Wednesday, Kendon Farr is coming back on the channel. We're going to be having another sit-down conversation. We didn't quite get to all the topics that we brought up or that we had said that we were going to get to the last time. And look, it was an absolutely, and I genuinely, I'm not just saying this to kind of, kiss his ass or to make sure that he comes back on. It was a genuinely, and this is the overwhelming majority of the feedback that I've gotten from that debate, or like that, well, sort of debate conversation. It was genuinely, this is the overwhelming majority of the feedback. This is actually all of the feedback. There was people who disagreed more with me or more with Kendon, but like overwhelmingly had the same sort of verdict that it was a ridiculously cordial, wonderful, delightful conversation. There was no screaming and shouting. There was no FUs and F this and F stats. There was nothing about it. It was just a delightful conversation. So I can't wait to have him back on. It was an absolute pleasure talking to him before. He's an actual gentleman. So I do like him. Anyway, having said all of that, I'm not going to keep it for very much longer. Like, subscribe, all that YouTuber bollocks. And until Monday over on Modern Day Debate, as soon as I get a link for that, I'm going to post it in the Discord, which is on the screen right now. Where is it? There, right there. Or I will be tweeting it out on Twitter right there. I will be tweeting it out. I'll be putting it on my Discord. I'll be putting it in basically every platform that I'm in. So until Monday, we shall talk to you all then.